that I hope you keep laughing all the way to Election Day, because every millennial thinks what you're laughing at is in
I don't
fact
care if
serious.
every person on the planet has been brainwashed. I still believe in science. And the basic precept of science is don't tell me, show me. Prove it. And no one bothers to do that.
Well, we're going to bother to do that here. He's talking about climate change. That's Tucker Carlson. My name is Justice Knight, today filling in for Lisa Haven. We're going to take the very basis of this entire discussion, climate change, global warming, and take the very measurements by which most of these are quantified. And I'm going to show you how inaccurate they are. The very basis of the science is wrong. It's going to be very eye-opening, and it will help you to have that discussion or argument with any of those who still believe that climate change is not an absolute hoax. But before we go there, again, my name is Justice Knight. If you have not had a chance yet to subscribe to me at justiceaknight.com, I certainly hope you will. I'd love to keep you a portion of my audience also. You can also find me here on YouTube. Lisa will leave the link below. Just look up Justice Knight, and I hope you'll subscribe. Make sure your bell is checked on both our stations so that you're alerted of new broadcasts. Also, Lisa wanted me to give you a shout out to one of her prime partners, NobleGoldInvestments.com. You'll see here their website. Convert your traditional IRA into a gold-backed IRA. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. They're going to be looking out for you here at NobleGoldInvestments.com. But now back to our broadcast. Why is this argument continue? Well, because a lot of Americans actually believe it. You'll see here on Associated Press, AP North Pole, most Americans see weather disasters worsening. Now, they've taken a few of these figures and tweak them just a bit, as we're so used to seeing. You'll see here out of 1,000, we're just going to round it off, 1,000 adults surveyed. In your opinion, would you say weather-related disasters are more severe, less severe, or has there been no change? Well, 72% of the 1,000 believe they're more severe. So 720 people, and there's a reason I'm going to state these numbers. How many of those people believe it's due to climate change? 50%. So now we're round numbers, about 370 of 1,000 people believe that everything happening in the world around us is due to climate change, at least as it relates to weather. Even CNN, this published on Breitbart, fact check, no, CNN Hurricane Dorian is not evidence of climate change. No, it's a hurricane. We have climate change all the time. The climate changes. We have 4 seasons. That's not news. But what is news is the hoax that surrounds it, which we're going to cross into very quickly. This article inspired my entire thought process. Global warming or bad data. Garbage in or garbage out. That's right. I know many of you accountants out there have heard that term before. Garbage in, garbage out, meaning if we're feeding the entire system bad data, then anything it exports to prove to us in the way of polls or surveys or percentages are wrong and unfounded. Simply garbage science. And I'm going to show you why it's entirely garbage science going further in the article. And climate science has always suffered from the problem of shaking and missing data. 70% of the globe is covered by ocean, where data is hard to collect. Reliable weather records only go back to about 1850, and in many parts of the world are far more recent. Modern recording weather stations date only to the early 20th century, and many of those stations have a big problem. While they haven't changed appreciably over the years, the land around them has changed, often profoundly. With the great growth in urban and suburban areas, the weather station that was once, let's say in the middle of Nassau County, Long Island, in a potato field in 1923, it's still in the same spot. But the potatoes are long gone. And now, it's behind a strip mall, 20 feet from the kitchen exhaust of a Chinese takeout joint. That's the basis of our discussion here, is the weather stations themselves, the recording devices, and how inaccurate they actually are, all stemming from this report. Is the U.S. surface temperature record reliable? He gives us a fairly clear and concise answer. Global warming is one of the most serious issues of our time. Some experts claim the rise in temperature during the past century was unprecedented and proof that immediate action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions must begin. Enter the Green New Deal, the biggest sham of all. But we're going to end on that very topic and why they need and don't want to hear any of this information. Other experts say the warming was very modest and the case for action has yet to be made. The reliability of data used to document temperature trends is often of great importance in this debate. We can't know for sure if global warming is a problem if we can't trust the data. So what did he do? He went out and surveyed almost 860 of the 1,221 weather stations, the actual recording devices. And he states it very well. We were shocked by what we found. I was more than shocked by what we were found. I felt very deceived. Here's a map of all the weather stations around the country. And he starts by quantifying the data first by the simplest of tasks. How are they painting the weather stations? That's right, because guess what? The color of the paint affects the temperature. You'll see there bare wood, latex, and whitewash, but that's the boringest of the details. It gets much more sinister as we move further into the details, because it appears now that a lot of these weather stations are near very hot sources that could be affecting the very temperature readings themselves by creating a false high. There's one, and you'll see they're located now near a cell tower, air conditioning unit exhaust fans, and next to an asphalt parking lot. And if any of you have been near those in the middle of summer, you understand how much heat that radiates. Well, when your gauge is right next to it, you have a big problem. That wasn't the only problem, however, in these stations. You'll see here missing data. What happens, and you'll see the numbers with no numbers next to them. That indicates no temperature was recorded. So what does he find out? He looked up PhilNet, and sure enough, missing data are created from nearby station estimates. So let's say you have one of these stations, I'm going to show you a picture so you know what I'm referring to, that are now near a radiant heat source. Your other station's missing data, and they fill it in with the false high data coming from this other weather station. Well, that's what they're doing. Another falsifications of records, and now your problem starts to expand. And I'm going to show you how much that problem actually quantifies to in degrees. And these are just some more, again, what they call FLIR data. It will show you radiating heat sources next to weather stations that are there to record accurate temperatures to aid in the entire climate change argument. You starting to see a little bit of the problem? By the way, all those stations were supposed to be 100 feet away from any object or radiating heat source. Well, that also isn't the case anymore. Actually, it's closer to 90% of these stations are now out of compliance. 90%. And that's what we're relying on for all the articles you see on the Green New Deal, climate change, and global warming. There's a picture of one of them, and he went into great detail and documented. But what's even more sinister is this here. You see when NOAA gets together with some of this data and they decide to move a station, the record actually magically increases and starts recording even higher temperatures. Now, the sinister portion of this argument is yet to be completely unveiled. You'll see there all the weather stations, 1,221. And of those stations surveyed, the ones recording a higher temperature down below in the orange, yellow, and red. And what does that variance work out to be? Well, in some cases, it's as big of 5 degrees of difference. Now, boy, you're going to say that doesn't seem like a lot. But when you take the 2-degree variance and the 5-degree variance, that's over 70% of the sites surveyed. Now you start to have a very big anomaly in data. And in science, garbage in, garbage out means what actual hoax do we have here? Well, I went a step further and went into a secondary research article. Real Clear Energy, climate alarmist foiled. No U.S. warming since 2005. That's right. In January of 2005, NOAA began recording temperatures in its newly built U.S. Climate Reference Network. USCRN includes 114 pristinely maintained accurate temperature stations spaced relatively uniformly across the 48 states. NOAA selected locations that were far from urban and land development impacts that might artificially taint temperature readings. They created an accurate measure device. And guess what? I'm sure nobody's ever heard about this. There's a picture of one of these pristinely maintained weather stations, not impacted by urban environment, obviously. And guess what happened? From 2005 to 2018, there was 0 increase in overall temperature. You've been had. You've been had by bad data. You see, I like going down the specifics of these arguments with detailed information, so you see exactly how the wool is being pulled over our eyes to support well, what's going to turn out to be a $1 trillion industry. Here on Vox, pulling CO2 out of the air and using it could be a $1 trillion business. Now, is that true? Well, it must be, because it just turns out that Bernie Sanders even admits to the $16 trillion climate plan, the Green New Deal, will fall on your and my shoulder to pay for. You see, this has been a money proposition all the way, along with a way to control you and I and each and every one of us, but I'm going to save that for a different broadcast. I just wanted to show you exactly, next time you hear somebody saying global warming, you show them exactly how much falsified data has been lending to this argument, and take the legs out from that argument immediately. I want to thank Lisa Haven once again for allowing me the opportunity to present this information to you. I hope you can follow me over at justiceinnight.com, or again, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Until next time, and this time on Lisa Haven's channel, Justice Knight, signing out. Godspeed and God bless. Thank you all so much for allowing me to be here.